this may seem wrong, but I'm actively scrolling past a lot of American content creators because the shit point is when America had the blackout from their TikTok ban, the rest of the world got content elsewhere from content creators we'd never seen before, but it opened up the rest of the world to us in terms of TikTok itself. And it became quite apparent, and a lot of people have become aware of this, that American content creators have a priority on the app. So they get spread everywhere. So when everybody else opens the app, for the most part, a large amount, maybe 80% of your content is US content creators. Well, how is that fair in a world where there's an awful lot of content creators? Why is it that Americans always have priorities with everything? It's like, that's not right. So I'm actively scrolling past to get to the other content creators now. If something catches my attention, then yeah, I'll stop and listen. But for the most part, I actually get really, really frustrated with Americans in general anyway. They're not all, of course. It's, you know, but, I am getting a bit fed up with the culture in itself in so many avenues. So some are incredibly loud, a lot of them obnoxious, very racist. Now, there's a lot of racism around the world. You could argue it's a little bit of racism, me just, blacking out a country for a time being. But you know what? A lot of us have just seen too much of it. Many of us were brought up with American culture because of the TV shows we watched. Like you grow up, you're watching Friends, you just all these other, even the high school stuff, and you see it and you think, oh, this is cool. It all just seems cool and it just gets indoctrined into you. Then as you get older, you start to see the reality of what America is, and it doesn't really align with what the TV shows represent. And then you start to see the subtle differences, the nuances, the way people treat each other, the busybody neighborhoods, like I said, the racism. And it's rife throughout. And I've spoke to Americans, believe me, I understand there's a disparity between the South and the and North, for instance, especially when it comes to slavery. People take exception to other people based on their ancestors, which has nothing to do with them as a people. Um, and it's like this. I don't want to go too far off, but there was a comedian I was watching. It was only a short clip, and he was from Ireland, and he'd come over to America, and he made a joke that he was being called a white boy, like a white boy privilege, and all this sort of. It was this thing about the fact that all white people had slaves for sort of thing. And he was making a joke saying, "I'm from Ireland. We picked our own potatoes. We didn't have slaves. Who." He hasn't got a history of, and it's like, yeah, and also like when it comes down to it, it's like what your ancestors did has no bearing on who you are, and I think it's just so pathetic. And it's like Americans just do not get out their asses; they always live in the past, and they're so racist. It's a joke. We're seeing it now with the Mexicans. The fact that all your prices are going to go up with everything because they were the hard workers, they were the grafters who did the work that not many people wanted to do. Now, you could argue they were underpaid, and that's why the people won't do the work. And as for the industries to fix, the UK had a similar problem when we had Brexit. There was a lot of cheaper workers from Europe, and it has been a bit of a problem, to be honest. The European workers came into the UK, and like for instance, we used to in the UK jobs there used to be really good overtime for the weekends and things. Like double time and all sorts. But the trouble is, the Europeans come over and they were happy to just take any work that was available. So even if they just got basic rate on the weekends, they would take that basic rate. So all of a sudden, the financial opportunities were getting eroded from us because they would take the breadcrumbs, and the rest of us had to just like sort of keep fighting just to keep some things. And I'm sure that's probably something similar in America. But I don't think that the racism is really helpful in terms of like the way you treat them. It doesn't make sense to me. It's like this elitist attitude where you think you're better than other people, and it does, and it spreads all the way around the world. It's been quite eye opening as I've got older, and I've just witnessed more and more the fact that the many Americans don't even understand a map. They couldn't even. A lot of them actually, weirdly enough. See, a lot of people around the world they're good with geography. You might not know every country, but you'll know a lot of them. Maybe the majority, and by extension, they'd also know an awful lot of states in America, and they'll know roughly where each of them are. Even though we shouldn't need to know every single state in America, it's not a history, And it's like there's a bigger world than sort of provinces. So, for instance, if you look at a geographical map of the world, you would say the United States as a country. You shouldn't need to know every single state within that country. In the same way, I wouldn't know all the provinces within each country. I wouldn't know all the provinces within France and all this stuff. It's France. United States is United States. Yet many of us are aware of the states that are contained within within the United States. But a lot of Americans, they wouldn't even know their own states in their own country, which is crazy. And then by extension, they have no idea about the rest of the world. They couldn't even they wouldn't even have a clue on a map. And I've seen videos of this, and it's frightening. It really is. It's like, oh my God. Now, this isn't all. There was a content creator I was watching today. He was American. I would listen to him because he was worldly. He's literally travelled. The video I saw, he was living in Norway, and then he travelled over to different countries within Europe. Just on like day trips, when I went to Czech Republic and all sorts, it was just like, this costs $20 or €20 to get on a train to go there, and it takes you to a whole other country. And he was just showing it all, and it was beautiful. And then someone made a comment in the United States, and straight away I thought it too. I recognise America is a beautiful place, and when you go from state to state, it's like a new world, isn't it? So if you go from one end of the country, you can see so much scenery as you go across the whole thing. I have no doubt how beautiful the United States is. But it's recognizing that the United States isn't just the whole epicenter of the world. If you go to Greece, you go to Italy, you go to these have great coastal towns. It's absolutely mesmerizing. Even like Portugal looks absolutely stunning when you see images of Portugal. And then the architecture in places like Austria, Czech Republic, Hungary, Germany, it just looks incredible. Every country has its history, and in Europe, the history is so deep and so old. That is incredible, the architecture, and that's what's great. And of course, like I say, America still has its own depth and the distinction between state to state. But I think that's the thing. A lot of people from the rest of the world can understand how beautiful America can be in certain areas. We understand, though, incredibly how corrupt the politics are, because America is all about wealth and division. So it's the fact that money dictates the politics, I think, is really where the scary part in America is. I find America quite a frightening place, in all honesty. When I think about it deep enough, I'm like, the corruption there is ridiculous. Like, you could have outspoken views, and your life could be under threat by even entering the United States. Yet you're safe around the world. What does that say? America is not a safe place for free speech, is it? America is not a safe place at all. It's corruption at its core. It's not the epicenter of free speech at all. And that's what they're known for, isn't it? Freedom. It's like there's no freedom there at all. It's suppression at its highest. I don't want to be like anti anything, but the more I'm getting older, the more I'm just becoming a bit anti, because I'm not liking I don't like the way the lifestyle at all. I'm not happy with the way it's governed. Yeah. I'm all about justice and freedom, and I don't think you're getting justice and freedom anywhere an inch in America at the moment. And I'm not sure you ever will. It's frightening. So, in all honesty, I have no give a shit. I speak my truth because I just don't care. If I can't enter the United States in my lifetime, I really could not give a shit. I couldn't care less. It doesn't bother me at all. There's a big world out there that's superior in my opinion. And there's an awful lot of content creators that haven't had their time in the spotlight, and I think they deserve it. I'm seeing some brilliant content creators that are outside of America, to be honest. And like I say, I'm sick and tired of the Americans influxing everything, and that's all we get to see. So our world becomes small because we're just stuck with the Americans. Again, this isn't anti-America as such, because there's some content creators I do enjoy. Now, if people take exception, they can block me, delete me. I couldn't give a shit. I block people quite often myself, because I get sick and tired of seeing some content creators that I can't get rid of. Even some from the UK. There's some that just keep buying bloody Blu-rays and DVDs. And I do that. I share my content sometimes. But I don't go buying it for the sake of making the content. I buy it because I want to add it to my collection. I'm sick and tired of seeing these people who are obviously doing it for clout, for views, and they're doing it as a business. So they're constantly doing it. And they're like, oh, just upgrading this. It's like, oh, that's boring now. You don't have to show us upgrade your whole fucking collection, you dipshit. So, because I keep seeing it, and some of them are quite big creators, I'm like, I've blocked them now. I'm like, block. I don't care, I'm not here to appease people. If one day you get recognised and that person says, oh, I don't know why they blocked me. Why did you block me? I say, well, who is it? And then when I find out, I say, because your content's boring as shit and I don't want to see it anymore. I don't care who you are. Your content's just drive me nuts, and the app won't get rid of you. So I did. Simple as that. Yeah. But anyway, I'm going to show a couple of examples of Americans now. It's not in a bad way. Not me trying to be like really anti shit. It's just just check the differences, man. I can't educate. I can only educate people to such an extent, you know. Here we go. Get prepared to get fed up with me. This one's just a loudmouth dipshit. I haven't. I listened to this guy underneath. Yeah, look, someone else has commented. Why does she shout? That's the first thing I noticed. Americans, man, they always have to shout to get the point across. That's an insecurity. Being the loudest in the room is an insecurity that you won't be recognised or heard or respected. But the trouble is, they don't realise it's so disrespectful to be the way this is. No one respects it. So anyway, let's listen.
In Europe do not have more differences than states in America. But let's follow this thought.
Oh, I didn't know she was talking about all that. That's me talking about it. I didn't listen to her. All I heard was a freaking whiny voice give me a headache, and straight away I just thought that's irritating. That voice just drives you freaking through the wall, doesn't it? It's like I could not be around that for too long. I'd have to, you know, I'm respectful where I can, but I'm blunt as well. So to be honest, if I had someone like that and they can't shut up, I'd just tell them shut the fuck up. I would have to just be blunt with them and say, shut the fuck up. Your voice is doing my head in. You know, don't even bother talking to me if you're going to talk like this. That's grinding. That's like grating nails on a freaking chalkboard. To me.
In Europe do not have more differences than states in America. But let's follow this thought. Let's
Shut the fuck up. Right, this guy's good enough. He's a tarot reader. His content, no one ever calls him up on it, and I don't like being an arsehole. But he says okay all the time, and I don't know how to say it. Sometimes I want to say to him, like, your content would be so much better if you just stop repeating okay at the end of sentences. And I don't know why people have these weird mannerisms, but I notice an awful lot of Americans do it. I've seen some UK creators who do too, so it's not specific to America. But America is taking up all my For You page. So what do I get? I get fucking load of these people. They always say okay, right. There's an Australian that always does it. Andy something. She's a tarot reader. She can't stop saying right and okay as well. It's prevalent. People need to just learn to make their content more professional. It's like you shouldn't have to educate people on how to fucking talk. It just does me head in. I mean, I'm getting sweary here because you don't understand how long I've listened to this shit. He's a content creator. I'd love to watch his videos. I can't watch it for more than a minute. I don't even go for a minute anymore. I see his video because I know he does it every video. Even if it's something where straight away I'm like, oh, this makes sense. I scroll on. I haven't even watched this video because I can't handle the guy. And I just want to show the repetition some people have.
Here, okay.
We're listening for the word okay. Okay.
You have somebody here, okay, a boss, a CEO that's being called by God to give you an opportunity of a lifetime, okay? They have these people in their team presenting them all these other people, but they're focusing on you and they chose you already. The reason why they're taking their time, okay, and their team is wondering why, is because of the simple fact that they want to make sure that when they present you this opportunity is an opportunity that suits you and your mission in life. And they already told this to their team, okay? That is you and this been you this whole entire time that they've been looking for, all right? You have somebody here that is going to give you an opportunity of a lifetime within your business venture, within your 9-to-5 job, or within your content creation here, okay? That's what I'm getting here as well. Maybe you do content creation on social media and stuff like that, okay? 44 of my time step, but when you do, you're going to have somebody who's going to watch you like a hawk, okay? But do not stop, showcasing what you have, okay? Because at the end of the day, keep growing, keep elevating, keep being you, keep being authentically you, because this person is loving every moment of it, okay? They want to present you the right, perfect opportunity that suits you, and this opportunity is an opportunity of a lifetime that is coming towards you, that is going to put you in a place of financial prosperity and financial stability, okay? This is coming within the next few months for some of you guys, or in the next year. This person might fly you out and might also as well pay for your trip, okay, and pay you $10,000 to $20,000, 123 on my timestamp, okay? But this person's coming soon to give you an opportunity of a lifetime.
That was 13 OKs I registered there, and 10 of them was in the first minute. So that's not the only guy, but every video he does it, and it's like, I don't understand why you need to say okay at the end of every sentence. Why can't people just learn the art of speaking, where you finish a sentence and you carry on talking? Why have you got to keep saying okay, all right, right, all this shit at the end of a sentence? Would you normally think about it? If you're having a conversation with someone, you're actually having a genuine conversation with someone. Do you say okay and all right and shit at the end of that sentence? All you've got to do is talk naturally. You have to talk. You don't have to talk like you're talking to someone. I don't know why you add that shit at the end. Listen to anything I say. You will never hear me saying okay, all right. Not that I'm aware of. It's not natural to me to do it, so why would I add it? But I don't know. I'm just getting a bit fed up with content creators in general. I think there's some that, like I said, it's frustrating for me because I know the content could be good if they just stop that shit. But how do you tell them without breaking their heart? How do you tell them without breaking their heart? Yeah, I'm getting a bit like losing my mind with a lot of the content lately. In all honesty, America's taken up the world. I feel like it's just expanding and it's expanding, expanding. It's pushing everybody else out, and then we're just like, that's what they're saying. So the Americans, a lot of the content creators will say, "Why is everybody so obsessed with us? Stay in your own bubble." The trouble is our bubble's getting smaller, and you're freaking suffocating us because all we see TikTok shows us is American content. So what can we absorb? And that's all we see. And this is where the app needs to change. I don't know how you do it, but there needs to be either some sort of protest or something to get this app to start focusing on making it fair with all content creators, because it doesn't make sense that America first all the time with these social media apps. Why is that even a thing? Yeah, for me personally, I think someone in Europe needs to make an app, and then just make a Europe only app, which I think, you'd argue that's not good. But then it's like, why is it like this? Oh, Americans won't understand the issue because obviously they're the ones benefiting from it. But everybody around the rest of the world, I guarantee you, are suffering the same issue. Some people get away with it. They manage to break free from the curse. But most of us, unfortunately, haven't. So like I say, people can block me, they can delete me. I really couldn't give a shit. I'm not in a popularity contest, If you actually look at how many people I'm following like 12. And I think 3 accounts of them is probably my daughter. Because it's, for me, it's irrelevant anyway. It doesn't matter. It means nothing. When you go on your For You page, think about this. How many people do you see on your For You page are the ones you're actually following? Because I don't see, well, before it wasn't really happening that much. It was more about if you liked a video, it would then generate more videos of that person that you like their content. That's how it worked. It didn't really have, from my opinion, didn't have any bearing on who I was following apart from the following tab. And I only watched the For You page. So if I only watched a For You page, what's the point of me following people to go in the tab that I don't watch? Like I said, some things are like popularity contests for people. So they think if they follow you, you'll follow back. And that's literally how they're doing it. But for what purpose? I talk about it all the time. Play with a fucking calculator. Who gives a shit? I'm not here for a popularity contest. I really couldn't care less. If I wake up one morning and it says 1 follower and that turns out it's just my daughter, I'm fine with that. It doesn't have a bearing on the content I create. The follower numbers are meaningless. What I would like is a fair playing field of the views. That's what I'd like. I'd like my views to have an opportunity to see an audience that's fair with everybody else, because that's the only part that bothers me. I don't care about the followers. I don't care about any other shit. I just want fair views, and I get like 50 views. There's no way that's fair at all. It's not given, the content isn't even having a chance to breathe, let alone be recognised whether it's worth being set for further viewers. It's just ridiculous. And who's clogging up all the views? The Americans are just taking it all. So what I've got to do, go create an account in America to get a fair chance. How ridiculous is that? So I will eventually come off the apps because I've got better things to do than sit here just trying to compete in an unfair playing field. I talk about it a lot. Integrity and justice are 2 of the biggest factors in my life. And when I see something's not fair, I get really, really annoyed. And when I see families ripped apart, like, I'm not going to go too much in politics. I've had a few. Anyway, just go through if you just go through a couple of videos on my profile, you'll see recently I've been arguing with an American, and I shared some of the comments. In the end, they replied back with something that didn't make any sense, and I thought that's the end of that conversation. And then I don't argue for the sake of arguing. They just made a no point response, and I just thought, I'll give up with you. Then you're not educated. They're not. A lot of them are just not smart enough. But I'm fed up with this attitude that where you're born extends your privilege, and then when you've got privilege, you look down at other people, and you consider their life like it's like secondary. It's not their lower tier life. Their life is less than yours. It's like the value of life is less. That makes no sense. We're all human beings. We're just some fortunate to be born to privilege, some not. And I can't understand how people can't get out their asses. And it's like you see it all the time. It makes you laugh because I talk about it with like people that want to leave the UK, for instance, they want to go to Spain. If they see people try to enter our country, they start going mental and they're so racist about it. But then they expect to easily be able to transfer from the UK to Spain. And when it's complicated or there's an obstacle, they can't understand. They consider it unfair. It's like, well, think about that. You want to relocate to another country. You're now recognizing the visas that are required, and it's not necessarily easy, and you might not definitely get in. And now you consider it unfair. But you think it's fair for other people to suffer and struggle to get into the country you're living in at the moment. It's only because it affects you that now it's an issue. But it still doesn't matter about the other people because their lives are not as valuable as your life, are they? And that's the part people just don't understand when I say that. Yeah, but you was the one born into privilege. They don't get it. I was born into privilege. I'm a UK citizen, so I have freedoms that a lot of people around the world don't have. I can go to a country and it's not questioned. You know, it's easier for me to fluctuate between countries. The UK is a very good democracy, and they take care of their citizens in aspects. Of course, it's not perfect, but there's a far worse country. So when people complain about the country, it's like you only have to start looking around the world and start finding one that's better. And even if you find one that's better, try and find 10 that are better. Then try and find 20 that's when you start to go, wait a minute, this country isn't great, but there's a lot of shit around the world too, you know. And unfortunately, that's just the life we live. That's the world. There's a lot that needs to be changed, healed, and improved, of course. But I do get fed up with the people who have privilege but can't even understand it. I understand I do. I understand I do, but I don't consider myself better than anyone else because I have that privilege. We should all have the same opportunities. So it'd be nice if people that had the opportunity started speaking up for those that don't. That'd be nice. But in America, I don't see that an awful lot. I just see them vilifying Mexicans. Now, I'm not there. I don't know what the average Mexican behaves like, but from what I've seen, they seem patriotic, they seem hardworking, they seem family orientated. They're very religious, so they're very steeped in their own culture. Now, again, I don't know the nuances to it all. I don't know if there's a lot of crime that comes from them, but then I think there's an awful lot of crime that stems from the Americans in general anyway. So it's like, come on. It's like, what's the disparity here? Who is the, if you're going to know demographics, what's the average demographic, the highest demographic, that commits the crimes? Is it Hispanics? Because I bet it ain't. But I don't know. But we see it now where the removal of Mexicans back to in my opinion, all I think it's going to do is make Mexico great. You're going to put all those hard workers back into Mexico where they're going to work hard, and they can if they all put the same effort they put into America, they can make their own country incredible. Think of the infrastructure that would get built and stuff. It's like I can see Mexico become stronger from it. So that's interesting, isn't it? Invest in your country. But yeah, I don't want to be this. I don't want content to constantly be anti this, anti that. It's why I need to kind of take a break somehow because the world is so heavy, and I'm getting caught up in the density of it, and I'm getting a bit fed up, and I'm getting very fed up with a lot of content creators to the point where I think I can't mix with them anymore. It's just getting too much. There's too many people that repeat themselves. They're so repetitive in their dialogue. There's people that shout like crazy people. There's racist people. There's absolute lunatics. There's people that create content just because they're doing it just to gain bloody views, and it's like pointless, and it's content is repetitive all the time. I'm getting fed up. So yeah, I think for me personally, I need to figure out what I'm doing next because I don't see myself constantly being on social media anymore because I get fed up with it. I might just go on YouTube because the thing with content creation, for instance, if you think about platforms, YouTube doesn't throw content in your face. It'll throw a thumbnail of an image of a video. And there'll be like a list, what do you call it, like carousel of options to watch. But you have to pick the video to watch. And on the left-hand side, you'll have content creators you subscribe because you really like the content. So it's not like for like. These are content creators you go, I really like this content. It entertains me. I'm going to subscribe to them. And then I get to see when they've got a new video out. So that's good. So you're curating your list. But you don't have to watch the content if you don't want to. So you can actually focus on just creating, and then you can just close the app, get on with your day, and it's far more professional. Whereas TikTok, it just constantly consumes your mind, and it actually causes a lot of problems because you can't stop. You shut the app, half an hour later, even sooner, you repeat the cycle again. So if you sat there for 2 hours, there's a good chance you're going to turn it on again and sit for another 2 hours and see very similar content you've just seen before. It's not really helpful at all. And it's just, I just see a lot of crap, in all honesty. Some good stuff. I like to use it as news. I need to find a way to balance it, though. Just use it as a news way, a way to watch people share parts of their daily life that's informative. I like that. So you see more of the world, and that's what I gravitate to. But yeah, I'm just reaching the point where I just can't keep watching the same shit anymore, you know? I'm bored of it. I'm fed up. I'm just getting fed up of it all. So yeah, I'll probably start limiting my phone usage quite a lot. I can see me doing in the near future. Where I still will watch some TikToks, but I'll be selective. I will scroll past the ones I don't like. I'll start blocking the ones that irritate me. Not specifically personal. It's just if I can't get rid of them and the algorithm won't get rid of them, I'll just get rid of them by blocking. It's the only way sometimes, you know. Like I had these people that did live. It was these two girls and it was a live. I thought, I'm not interested. So I scrolled past. And then a little while later, they both appeared again. I scrolled past. You know, I know you can hold things and do not interested. I shouldn't have to do that. If I've scrolled past without interacting, I've watched for like a second, then I'm not interested. The app should know. I don't give a shit. But anyway, I'd seen these people. If I went off the app and then I went back on the app, they're still on a bloody live. And it come up like 5 or 6 times. And I just thought, oh, this is a joke. Why are they always there? So I ended up having to go over to their page and then block them. And I thought, I can't. You know, it's not personal. I just don't. It don't interest me. And I can't get rid of them any other way. So I'm blocking them. And that's how I'll behave. So if anyone sees or thinks, oh, he's blocked me, it's probably because I've seen something. I can't get rid of it. It's like, I can't, you know, I'm not here for popularity contests. So I just, you know, and that's the other thing as well. I think people take things so personal. And it's like the content I see on my For You page, it's curated for me. And if I don't like something, it's up to me to curate it in the way that I want it. It's not a case of, oh, you know what, I don't want to upset you. I don't want to make you feel bad. So I'm going to follow you and I'm going to engage in your content and I'm going to see more of that and I'm going to see more of that and more of that. I don't want to see more of that though. So the only way to keep them happy is to do that. And then I have to see more of that and then it has to ruin my algorithm. Well, I don't want to ruin my algorithm. So every time you like a video, you're adding more of that content or that type of content to your timeline. So you have to think about that, you know. If you want to click like on mine, maybe you'll get really authentic opinions. It'd be direct, maybe learn something. But then also maybe you start getting other content creators you maybe learn from as well. But maybe if you're not interested in my content, you didn't get this far, of course, then no one's hearing me anyway. But then you'll get other content. So if you just want to see funny stuff constantly and you want it to be a comedy show, which is nothing wrong with that at all, then just make sure you only interact with the comedy stuff. Quite simple.